was at NBC about creating IT cosmetics. And she did have the high, I can't even do it, my voice is too low, but she had the high squeaky voice a little, but she's really leaning in, octave up. And the two of them have the weirdest dynamic. And so in this podcast, Meghan does her perfectly curated life thing. Did a zero in, like we zoomed in just to see. There isn't a tear in sight. Dan, look at this. I invite the viewers to take a close-up look at this.
Imagine being Archie or Lilibet and opening this inbox of 6,000 emails when you turn 18. No one wants that, not the children. And also it sets this really unrealistic expectation, which Meghan is so good at doing for other parents.
If I don't have meetings in the morning, then I try to do school drop-off. They're at two different schools. So from 6:30 in the morning on drop-off mornings for me, I'm not home till 9.
Her life is so hard because she has to do school drop-offs, and thank God that she's got a live-in nanny.
Up. Meanwhile, she's got like the perfect blowout, you know, and like she's completely camera ready, except she didn't put eye makeup on. And she also is pretending that
They say laughter can crack the tension in a room like lightning. But let me tell you, when that laugh completely flips the script, oh honey, that's when the real tea gets spilled. Meghan Markle walked into her podcast debut with Kern Lima, convinced she had another stage perfectly set for her polished, vulnerable Duchess act. She expected adoration, sympathy, maybe even a few tears from listeners. But instead, what echoed wasn't compassion, wasn't support. It was Jamie's laugh. Not just any laugh, darling, but the kind of effortless, unshakable laugh that rattles everything around it. The type that says without words, "Really? That's it? That's all you've got?" And with that single, unplanned moment, Kern Lima didn't just interrupt Meghan's performance, she demolished it. And Meghan, oh, she did not see it coming.
World premiere episode of actually being on someone else's podcast. And the someone else is her name is Kern Lima.
Do you think you'll be married forever?
Yes.
I have a letter.
He's also a fox, if you haven't noticed. My husband's very, very handsome. But his heart is even more beautiful.
Something's up here. See that little shoulder shrug when she said yes?
Yes, yes,
Did you hear how high her voice was when she said yes?
yes.
When we're stressed, our larynx closes up a little bit and our voice tone gets a little bit higher. That's why the pitch of the yes is so high.
Promotion for Suits. She was joking with one of the photographers that she can cry on command. Left eye, go. And then you watch a tear fall down her face, and then she starts cackling because she's...
Viewers couldn't take their eyes off the scene. Meghan, of course, thought she was about to serve us another emotional monologue, a carefully staged highlight reel of her pain. But what she got instead was something she couldn't script, something her usual playbook of teary pauses and trembling tones couldn't pierce, a wall of authenticity. Jamie's laugh was a reality check Meghan never asked for but couldn't escape. It was the moment that stripped away all the artificial layers Meghan had been hiding behind, and trust me, audiences felt it instantly.
But I didn't realize I had interviewed this person because she founded IT Cosmetics, which I remember interviewing her at NBC. I think it's the same lady. I could be wrong. She looks a little different. But anyway, she was...
But you're the same.
You're the same.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And look, South Park is known for satire and for mocking people. No one is safe. This isn't the first time they've done an episode on the royal family, but this particular episode was quite scathing and the grains of truth that it held. And I'm not sure how the Sussexes are taking it. Obviously, it is a cartoon.
You just can't leave us alone, can you? Oh my God, he's so obsessed with us.
Wow.
Learned the hardest of lessons, which is, if you start a brawl, do not be surprised if you end up getting punched twice as hard. In fact, South Park has just knocked them out.
There isn't a
successful lifestyle brand as ever. We sold out of everything in 45 minutes.
Amazing. You've been working so hard.
Oh my gosh, I worked so hard. I worked very hard and I'm still working very hard. Just not for the royal family. Yet, I still insist on being called her royal.
You know Meghan's style by now. The slow, deliberate pauses, the softened voice, every word delivered like it's a performance for the ages. Even the hair, perfectly styled, like she was auditioning for a magazine cover instead of having a raw conversation. But when the camera zoomed in, oh, it betrayed her. Not a single tear in sight, not one. The whole thing looked rehearsed, too polished. The performance was textbook Meghan, but the truth slipped through in the close-up. This wasn't vulnerability, it was strategy. And Jamie, she wasn't buying it. Neither were we.
And her brand became a $1 billion brand, and she sold it to L'Oreal for $1.2 billion in 2016.
All for news anchor, right?
Yeah.
Like makeup?
Yeah.
By the way, no one offered me makeup at all here.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
We sold you down the river.
I'm nurturing you and I see you so deeply, and I love being able to see your growth.
Of all things, it's making me emotional.
And is also apparently friends with Meghan. And in the world premiere of podcast.
Then came the bombshell. Meghan threw out the accusation, calling Jamie a hypocrite. Now most people would have bristled, snapped back, maybe even gone into full-on defense mode. But Jamie, she did something Meghan could never. She laughed. And not the nervous, fake kind. No, this was effortless, almost amused, because the insult wasn't cutting, it was predictable. Coming from Meghan, the words didn't sting. They dripped with irony. And Jamie's laugh? It landed harder than any rebuttal ever could. A single chuckle, and Meghan's attempt at attack was reduced to dust. That moment burned into viewers' minds.
She didn't make the Times list of cool people, but she did get invited there because her agency probably bought her access. This is one of the goofiest things ever.
Because I think it speaks to the tiny moments of joy that are so effortless and just create a little bit of magic that we're all craving.
What in the hell word salad is this?
Tiny little flower petals that are dried. I started putting them on salads. I started putting them on scrambled eggs. Level of charm that you find people have when they see these tiny little dried petals is something I can't fully wrap my head around, but I appreciate.
I'm elevating it by putting dried flower petals on all of my food.
She married for money. It's very clear she bagged the elephant. She was thrilled she became a, quote, princess.
I mean, Meghan did claim that before dating Harry, she never Googled him, and she said she didn't know much about the royal family.
It was planned from the beginning. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
And let's not forget who Jamie Kern Lima is. She's not just some guest Meghan can rattle. This is the woman who built IT Cosmetics from scratch from her living room when nobody believed in her. She didn't just sell a product, she sold authenticity. Remember that legendary TV moment? The one where she wiped off her makeup on live television, showing her redness, her rosacea, her texture? Everything? She turned what others called flaws into proof of strength. That's Jamie. Real, unfiltered, resilient. So when Meghan tried to brand her as a hypocrite, the accusation collapsed instantly. Jamie's entire career, her legacy, screamed louder than Meghan's carefully curated soundbites ever could. Because here's the kicker. Jamie doesn't need Meghan. She doesn't need titles, staged vulnerability, or media spotlights to prove her worth. She's faced over 1,000 rejections and still turned them into a billion-dollar empire. Every no became fuel. Every setback, a comeback. So when Meghan tried to reduce her with cheap words, it didn't land. It couldn't. Jamie's story was bigger. Her power, undeniable. And let's talk about the contrast, because the difference was night and day. Meghan has built her image on this meticulously staged vulnerability. Soft lighting, dramatic pauses, always presenting herself as wronged. It's designed to tug at heartstrings. But over time, it's become repetitive, predictable, almost boring. Jamie, though, doesn't even need the spotlight. Her message hits without theatrics. Her presence radiates authenticity in a way Meghan's scripts can't touch. And when the two worlds collided on that podcast, Meghan's performance crumbled against Jamie's raw truth. That's why Jamie's laugh cut so deep. It wasn't cruel, it wasn't dismissive, it was a boundary, a moment that drew a line in the sand. Meghan wanted everything to orbit around her pain, her truth. But Jamie made it crystal clear. Empowerment isn't a solo act. It's not one person's endless grievance tour. It's a collective movement. Her laugh said more than 1,000 words. It was Jamie's way of saying, this isn't about you, Meghan. Here's the real difference between these two women. Jamie doesn't need to defend herself with magazine spreads, staged interviews, or dramatic retellings. Her life is her defense. Think about it. This is a woman who built an empire from nothing. No royal titles, no Hollywood handouts. No family name to ride on. Every milestone, every win was earned with grit, sweat, and sleepless nights. So when Meghan threw labels at her, trying to diminish her, it fell flat. Meghan couldn't give Jamie anything she didn't already have. That laugh wasn't a clapback, it was clarity. It was the sound of a woman who knows her worth, who doesn't even need to play in Meghan's petty sandbox. Let's face it, Meghan couldn't elevate Jamie if she tried. Jamie's achievements are out of Meghan's league. Billion-dollar legacy, unshakable authenticity, respect earned the hard way. Meghan's weapon is words, but Jamie Jamie, she doesn't need them. Her legacy speaks louder than any PR-crafted narrative ever could. So when she laughed, it wasn't mockery, it was truth. It was the sound of someone who doesn't have time for vanity battles. Meghan wanted drama, Jamie gave her perspective. And let's not forget, Hollywood is watching. This dynamic, this clash between Meghan's staged fragility and Jamie's effortless realness hit the industry at the worst possible time for Meghan. Remember when Meghan and Harry were the ultimate disruptors? The royal rebels promising a modern fairy tale, fresh perspectives, truth bombs left and right. Well, honey, fast forward to now, and that shine is gone. The narrative has shifted. What once felt bold now feels repetitive. Missed deadlines, shifting stories, grievances on loop. Executives who once rolled out the red carpet are now sighing behind closed doors. That's why Jamie's laugh hit like a thunderclap. It wasn't just personal. It echoed what Hollywood has been whispering for months. Meghan's story doesn't feel revolutionary anymore. It feels tired. And in an industry obsessed with fresh energy, tired is deadly. Because here's the cycle Meghan keeps spinning. Every fallout, every failed deal, every strained relationship, it's always someone else's fault. The royals were cruel. The press was toxic. Spotify didn't get it. Netflix stifled her voice. Every chapter becomes another entry in the victimhood saga. But here's the thing. For audiences, the repetition isn't moving anymore. It's draining. People are starting to tune out. Meanwhile, Jamie doesn't weaponize her struggles. She doesn't package her pain into a brand or plaster it across interviews. She doesn't need to. She built quietly, she let her empire speak. She didn't beg for sympathy. She turned hardship into momentum. So when Meghan tried to paint her as hypocritical, it didn't land. Because Jamie's life disproves every accusation. Her laugh wasn't dismissing trauma, it was dismissing the performance of trauma. It was her way of saying, I see the act, and I'm not validating it. And here's the kicker. Empowerment itself looks completely different depending on who's speaking. Meghan frames empowerment like it's always orbiting around her. Support women, yes, but only if she's at the center of the story. She's the heroine, the victim, the voice. Always Meghan. Jamie, though, she uplifts women without needing the applause. She mentors, she invests, she shares her story without making herself the spectacle. Meghan turns empowerment into a mirror. Jamie turns it into a bridge. That's the difference, and it's glaring. That's why Jamie's laugh stung so much. It wasn't cruelty, it was a boundary, a signal. She wasn't going to let empowerment get twisted into Meghan's vanity project. Meghan wanted control of the narrative, as always. But Jamie, with one simple laugh, showed that real strength doesn't need lights, cameras, or scripts. It just is. And Hollywood noticed. That one laugh didn't just create a viral clip, it triggered a wave of backlash Meghan couldn't spin away. Studios started pulling back, pausing affiliations, even cutting ties. Paramount, A24. The fallout was real. Executives aren't stupid, they know when a brand is losing its shine. And Meghan, for all her practiced pauses and dramatics, there wasn't a single real tear in sight, just another performance exposed. Here's what made Jamie's reaction unforgettable. She didn't need to drag Meghan. She didn't need to clap back on Instagram, issue a statement, or fuel the gossip mill. Her life is the proof. Her billion-dollar brand is the proof. Her legacy is the proof. Meghan's words said more about Meghan's insecurities than they ever did about Jamie, and that's why her laugh during that podcast carried so much weight. It wasn't just a chuckle, it was a mic drop. It was the sound of a woman who's lived through real storms and doesn't need to perform them. It was the quiet signal that she saw through Meghan's act and wasn't buying it. Audiences saw it too. And once you see the cracks in the performance, you can't unsee them. Here's the brutal truth Meghan doesn't want to hear. The pity parade has lost its charm. The endless grievances no longer inspire, they exhaust. People want growth, they want accountability, they want something real. And Meghan? She keeps circling back to the same script, and the numbers don't lie. Viewership is slipping, public trust is shaky, deals are cooling. The red carpets once rolled out for her are being pulled back. Silence is louder now than any of her carefully crafted interviews. Jamie's laugh captured that shift better than any headline ever could. It wasn't cruel, it wasn't even mean, it was just real. And coming from a woman who built a billion-dollar empire from the ground up, it was the most authentic verdict anyone could have delivered. Meghan walked into that podcast expecting another spotlight moment, but what she got instead was exposure, the kind she never wanted. Her performance collided with authenticity, and authenticity won. Jamie didn't need to say much, she didn't need to craft a narrative. Her laugh did the talking. It showed that true empowerment doesn't need to be rehearsed. It doesn't need to be centered around one person's grievances. It doesn't even need validation. It just is. One woman is still performing her story. The other is out there living hers. And audiences are finally starting to see the difference. And that's the real mic drop.